So, here's my Warframe tier list. I've been playing a lot of Warframe recently. I have 1,000 hours. It's not crazy compared to other Warframe YouTubers and other people who played the game, but I think it's enough for me just to kind of get... If I do mess up some abilities, I don't know all the abilities. I have played every Warframe on this list, but I don't know all the names and specifics, so, you know, anything I say wrong, you can comment down and I'll try to get knowledge on that. This tier list, this is the tier, all the tiers. I'm going off by survivability, damage, speed, utility, support, all that stuff. But I'll explain as we go along. So we'll start off, starting with Ash. Yeah, we'll go alphabetical order. Ash is going in A- for me. So his main ability is his 4, where he can kill things and mark them, and he'll kill them over time. I'm putting him in A- because he's a pretty slow Warframe compared to nowadays where things can just get nuked. He has his 1, which is his shurikens, where he can armor strip. It's just kind of average. You can use an augment with it and stuff. It's alright. Armor stripping is less important nowadays, especially with the Koumei update. Or the update before where now armor's capped. So it's not as important. His 4 is amazing though. He can go invisible with his 2, so he won't really die. Good survivability, and 3 is just a teleport. Not a very good one. So yeah, he ends up doing what you need, and you can definitely go through the whole game with him. Most Warframes in this, I think all Warframes in this tier list, you can go through the whole game with and see success. But you're comparing them, and Ash is kind of just in the middle. He's just really slow. And his 4 is an amazing ability. It is a lot of investment because it needs a stat stick. But yeah, he's just really slow. But still a great Warframe. Next we're on to Atlas. I'm putting Atlas in Great. This is weird. You do need a stat stick for Atlas, but with his landslide, his 1, he is invincible during his 1. He cannot get killed, unlike Excalibur, who can get killed during it. He gets a bunch of armor with his rubble, rubble passive. With his augment, he can cast his 1 infinitely, without worrying about energy. If you have enough rubble, built up from Petrify, which is his 3. So you petrify them and then you punch him with the 1. His other abilities are useless, you don't use them. His 2 is I think that's the wall one, you just throw up a wall and it's pointless, you can throw it out. Not useful, don't use his 2. His 4 is also useless. It's just a distraction. There's rock buddies you can cast and they don't do anything. They don't do any meaningful damage. They do no damage, really. It's just, don't use those 2 abilities, but you use his 3 and his 1, and you can see great numbers. His numbers on his 1 can go crazy. He normally one-shots everything. I have noticed, though, after they have changed his Petrify, so now he ragdolls petrified enemies, which was a really stupid change, because before, which wasn't long ago, you could hit enemies, and they wouldn't ragdoll even if when they were petrified. But now they ragdoll, which is just really clunky. So he ends up being a really clunky Warframe. He can't target ragdolled enemies, which is his main downside. Yeah, that's the main reason I put him lower. I still think he's great though, being able to one-shot mainly anything. Once he's built up on combo, you need a stat stick. But he's just unstoppable at that point, and you just see amazing numbers. He keeps up so well, and yeah, he's invincible during his 1. He won't die ever if you're playing him right. Yeah, and things will just you will kill things and you'll see great success with Atlas. Just don't use his 2 and his 4. Please don't use his 2 and his 4. Great Warframe, love him. Okay, so I have a reference here. This is where I actually had to put him. Banshee, I was going to put in. Let me see what I put her in without spoiling it. She's in C tier. So, and I put it in there for a reason. I'll explain. So Banshee has no survivability. Banshee will die as soon as an enemy looks at you. She has her 2, which is an amazing damage multiplier. It's huge. It's a huge damage multiplier if you stack it enough. But you really don't need all this damage. Guns do enough nowadays, and cannons do enough damage. And her other abilities, Silence is a crowd control. It stuns enemies. It's not the best. You normally you just assume it on Ash to do more finisher damage because it increases finisher damage. and her 4's not useful at all. You lock in place and you do like no damage. It's pointless. Yeah, and her 1 is like, I think like a boom. It's not useful. It's mainly her 2. You use her for her 2. Her passive is good where you can like, her weapons don't make noise at all. So you can do that for silence missions, like, or stealthy missions. Though in survival, she's not going to see much success. She will just die if you don't give her like a rolling guard or like Aegis or literally anything that will help her live. She's just going to die. Enemies will look at her and she will die. But she can do great damage with her too if you spam it a lot. But other than that, that's all she really does. And it's pretty depressing. She's due for a rework. Most Warframes in C and below are due for a rework. Possibly B- as well. So yeah. That was Banshee. It's really sad to see her. I think she has locked value. I say locked value because her 2's amazing and it can do great damage, but that's at the cost of no survivability. So yeah. Glass cannon, basically. Baruuk is going in S. I love Baruuk. Baruuk's amazing. He has his fist with his 4, his exalted like fist. They do great damage. Isn't it exalted? I think it's an exalted. Yeah, it's an exalted. So he has an exalted. You can customize it with your own mods. He sleeps enemies with his 2. He can dodge projectiles with his 1, and he can disarm enemies with his 3. Which all sound pointless because it's crowd control, but they all add up to him building Restraint, which is his passive. When you build up this Restraint, you can use your 4. And your 4 is this unstoppable melee weapon. It is just so good. You can use it with this, like, it will clear hallways just regularly. Its stance is amazing, and you can use its slam attack build as well, where you can just do millions and millions of damage. It is just crazy. And he won't die because he has damage reduction from his 3 and his 4. He won't die. You won't see problem with him in terms of survivability because he will just be killing things as well. You can and Acolytes just die. They just die. Nothing will live this. I'm not putting him in S+ though because he sees problems in multiplayer because people nuke the map. Which is a problem, because he needs to build Restraint. He needs to crowd control enemies. If he can't crowd control the enemies, he's not going to be able to use his 4. So that's his main problem. But on his own, in a solo mission, everything's going to die. You're going to see success, and you can still use him in multiplayer. There will just be some restrictions. His 3 can still help you gain Restraint, because disarming enemies helps you gain it a little bit. So, yeah, that's why I'm putting him in S. I'm not putting him in S+. But yeah. Amazing, I love Baruuk. Love him. Okay, here we go. I've always wanted to talk about this Caliban rework. Okay, so people think he's meta now. He's not. He is not meta. He's an A-. So before his rework, it would have probably been down here. He was not good. And I still don't think he's amazing. I think he's a good Warframe and you can use him. You'll see with his 2... You can slam down all the enemies, float in the air. It's good for charging at cannons because you can just get headshots. They'll get a damage vulnerability. His summons are disappointing. They don't do anything in terms of damage. They give you shields, which is cool. Survivability. You will still kind of die. You need Aegis or redirection with him because the shield regenerating from his summons aren't always consistent. Sometimes they just don't give you shields. So it's not always amazing. And they don't do any damage. They're just a distraction, and there's 3 types of summons. They all do the same thing. They're just a distraction. They're not going to kill anything. One of the summons synergizes with his 4. So his 4 is a giant laser, and it is honestly one of the coolest looking abilities in the game. The coolest, I think. I love it. Though it does armor strip enemies, it doesn't do damage at all in Steel Path. Sometimes regular Path, but even in them when they're higher levels, it's not going to kill them if they're stronger enemies. It's just not a good damaging ability, and it's so disappointing because it's such a cool looking ability. And I wish it just did good damage. It could kill things, it could clear hallways. It wouldn't be too strong because it is at 100 energy cost ability. But all it does is armor strip, and with your summons, the summons also do it like a mini laser version, which looks amazing, but it doesn't do any damage even with the summons. You can give him a bunch of strength, still won't do damage. It's really disappointing. So his 4 is just... It's just an armor strip. There's no other thing to it. Just honestly, Pillage does a better job. Just use Pillage. It lingers with you and it gives you shields back. And it clears status effects. It does more. So I'm disappointed in his 4 being a 100 energy cost, long casting time ability, just for it to do no damage and armor strip. Just an armor strip. And his 1 is basically Nourish. You're normally just going to use Nourish over his 1. His 1 is just Nourish. It can be better situationally if there are more enemies. So if you hit more enemies in your 1, you will get energy back. That is all it does. It doesn't do damage. Just use Nourish. It's more consistent and more reliable. So you end up with a Warframe that has decent survivability and an armor strip and good damage vulnerability, good like crowd control stuff with all the enemies. But it's not 100% effective, and other Warframes do his job better. So for now he's going in A-. I'm disappointed with the rework really. Hopefully they just buff up the laser's damage. So yeah, not going to go on for much longer. Citrine. This is a crazy take. I love Citrine. I think she is an amazing support. She competes with Wisp. She can give 90% damage reduction to your whole team. She can give you like health regeneration, give them energy orbs, health orbs, status chance, duration, critical chance. So just all these into one Warframe. Being able to help teammates just so well. And she won't run out of energy. So her 1 throws out these rocks, and any enemy you kill while they're affected by these rocks will drop energy orbs and health orbs. It's just you won't run out of energy with that. If you have Equilibrium with her, which is one of the best mods for her, she won't run out. Her 2 just gives damage reduction. Her passive makes it so your teammates just regenerate health over time. Her 3 is this little gem. If you stand in the gem, you get more status duration. It's really good, honestly. You'll be surprised in how much it does. And it also damages enemies. And her 4, with the augment, by the way, it's so good. I love it. It makes all enemies susceptible to 200% critical chance multipliers. It is just so good, and it will spread to enemies within 20 meters. So you just keep killing; they will all have 200% critical chance for you and your allies. So you just have this Warframe that is amazing. You won't die really much with her. I don't think I've died once with her really, unless I'm in a bad situation where I haven't activated her 2. She's just so good. I love Citrine. A bit of a hot take. I know some people put it lower, but I just love Citrine. So I'm putting her in S+. Chroma. So where's my tier list? I have a reference tier list here for me, which is my tier list. I'm just putting onto this video. Outclassed. I put him there because he has Vex Armor, and he has Vex Armor and that ability that makes you get more... I forgot the names for him. So his 2 and his 3. 2 and 3. His 1 and his 4 are useless. We don't talk about them. Just don't use them. Don't use them. Effigy, his 4 is trash, and you have to toggle it, so you lose energy while it's active. And his 1 is also the same. It toggles, and you lose energy while it's active, while it does nothing. Don't use those. So you mainly use him for his 2 and his 3. So the more damage he takes, the more he gets. He'll get more armor. He can get up to 1000% armor, which sounds great. 1000% damage. However, when you realize this is just a additive effect, not a multiplicative effect, so you will see diminishing returns. It's fine. It does the job. It doesn't give you more health. I think one of the Vex Armor, because you can change over with his 2, what effect you want. Some give you armor, some give you health. But since it gives you armor, Slash Procs will kill Chroma. It will ignore his armor and he will die to Slash Procs. Or it will just ignore armor. And because he just gets armor and not health, it's a big downside for him. He can still live and he can still do Warframe things, just not better than other Warframes. I think he's severely outclassed, and additive effects aren't really that good. You'll see more damage, and it's just miserable. It's not fun. Very boring Warframe. He can do things, but other Warframes do things better. He's outclassed. Please rework him. That's all I can say about Chroma. Passive is cool though. He can jump 3 times. That's cool. We love that. But that's it. Now we got Dagath. Dagath, one of the names. She's going in A-. I love her design and I love her abilities, but we do have some drawbacks. So her 4 is it summons these 6 horses that go in front of you, and they do really good damage if you combined it with her 2, which makes enemies cursed in front of you. So her 4, it throws out these horses, and they're amazing. They do good damage, but they're very linear. Like, the range is very small in front of you, and you have to constantly spam cast this. You are invincible during it, I believe. But it's just this, it's such a linear path that it's not going to be doing any meeting. Like, it's not going to be able to get a lot of enemies. So it's kind of, yeah, average. It's just, yeah, you have to combine it with Doom. So it's 125 energy cost just to kill enemies on Steel Path. So Doom is this ability that you shoot in front of you, enemies get cursed, your 4 will strip armor and kill enemies much more easier. But Doom has such a short range and a 40-degree angle. So like this in front of you, you have to spam Doom to actually get multiple enemies cursed because its range isn't that good and its angle is really bad. Don't like that. And then you combine it with her 4, which is great in hallways. It's a long casting ability, 100 energy cost, combining with her 2. And it kills everything, but only in front of you at a very short, only good in hallways really. So it's pretty clunky. Her 1 can be used as a DPS ability as well, albeit not as much high damage as her 4, but you can use it, and it does show some results. Her 3 is also just, I love her 3, it just gives her second life with more damage. That's it. That's all it does. So that's what you got with Dagath. She just has a lot of drawbacks. It's just not... If the horses really did more, I would love it. And if Doom got more buffs, I think she could definitely go up to amazing in S tier. But right now, this is where she stands for me. So yeah. Okay, now we got Dante. So this was a tough one for me. I do have my reference tier list that I made. But he's in, for me, he is in S. I'm this close to putting him in S+. It's so tough, so tough. So he gives Overguard to all your allies at a very quick pace. You're not going to die as him. He's such a tanky Warframe. He won't die. His 3 and his 4 combined, so you use his 3 twice, which is just slash procs. But you combine it with his 4, everything dies if they've been hit with his 3. So you have to hit him with your 3, and then you use his Tragedy, which will... Everything around you will basically die if you've hit him with your 3. Not always, though. Not always. Though, when compared with, combined with Raw, you will see great results and things will just die. Why am I putting him in S and not S+? Well, with the nerfs, the line of sight nerfs, I feel like... I know it sounds ridiculous. At first I wasn't happy with the nerfs, but I kind of understand. It was really strong. But we look at Nezha, we look at Sevagoth, we look at Varuna. They don't need line of sight, and they can just nuke maps. I know he's a support, I know he gives Overguard, he can give status, or damage vulnerability with his birds. But I feel like it's still not the best results, compared to other top tier Warframes. But he is amazing utility. Amazing utility and amazing damage when combined with Raw. You will just see great results with Dante. He could go up to S+. He really could. But right now, he's going in S. His tragedy just isn't as amazing. If you don't hit all enemies with your 3, the enemies normally won't die. You have to hit them with your 3. So it is a bit of setup. And yeah, he's good. He definitely is an amazing Warframe. So yeah, that's my stand on Dante. What have we got next? Why did my thing go off? Excuse me. Next, we've got Ember. Ember is going in A. I love her. I think her kit, they tweaked some things up with her kit. She's just, I love her. Her 4 rains down these fireballs that all the enemies just burn to death. Make sure you use Archon of Vitality with her because she needs the heat procs. More enemies that are on fire with their 4 or any ability, you get ability strength, so that's even better if you use Raw with her or any damage increase. I love her Fire Blast, so her Fire Blast can strip enemy defenses, armor, anything. I believe that was her 2 or 3. I mixed up the 2. But then she also has a damage reduction of 90%, depending on how much enemy she's putting on fire. However, you do lose energy if you up too much damage reduction. So if your damage reduction is at 90% for too long, you will lose energy. You need to use her 2 or her Fire Blast to let off that energy, lowering your damage reduction, but you get it really fast, but also making sure you don't lose that energy. And her Fireball, her 1 is fine. You can use it. I normally subsume over it. But yeah, we have a great Warframe here who's just... Her 4 is amazing, and her damage reduction, she's good survivability. Good augments. You can get Overguard with her augments, so you can get great results with her. Not much else to say. She's just a great Warframe. I love Ember. Okay, we got Equinox. So I'm putting Equinox... I don't see what Equinox does that's good. She nukes the map, but you have to kill enemies, and it's a long casting time. It is so long. This is day form, so she has 2 forms. When you're in day form, you can nuke enemies. You have to kill enemies to get the damage up. Once you kill enough enemies, you can let it all out, and it will just kill enemies in front of you, and it will do good nuking. But it's just so clunky. Her 4, and it's like survivability wise, not very good survivability wise. You need to subsume like Eclipse on her or something, or she will just die if you don't kill him fast enough. So she can nuke, but not very good. Other Warframes do it better. Takes a long time to cast and everything, and all the other abilities are fine. It's just not, the effects aren't strong enough to really do anything. She just needs a rework. We all know this by now. Her night form, the reason I use her night form is purely because I like sleeping enemies. She sleeps enemies better than Ivara, maybe? It's just... But Ivara can go invisible, so... Yeah, Equinox only has a nuking ability that's not even that really good. You need to kill enemies for it, and you need to have a long casting time to do it. It's just severely outclassed at this point, so just don't use Equinox. That's a little harsh, but you know, that's what I think. Then we got Excalibur. He's our first B tier. You can use multiple like playstyles with him. He has his slash dash with his 1, which is really good. However, with his 1, he's not invincible completely. So it says you're invincible, but your shields can be damaged, and they can be completely drained. So when you use his slash dash, and you come out of it, and you don't have enemies around you, there's some enemies in the distance though, they will kill you as soon as you're out of slash dash, because you have no shield gates. None. You will die. So, slash dash, you can use it, it's just not very reliable in terms of survivability. His 4, I'm going off by Umbra, by the way. I don't really use regular Excalibur, I'm going off by Excalibur Umbra. His 4 is just its Exalted Blade. It does good damage, and it can definitely kill. Definitely. But there are just better options at this point. You know, he's just kind of slow, and his survivability is really questionable. You want to use like Eclipse on him, or something that can keep him alive, or Gloom, or anything. Condemn for his shields, because they just break. So yeah, he can do good things though, and you can see success in him. Not at a very fast pace though. He's probably one of the worst starter frames. Yeah, so that's my stance on Excalibur. Now we got Frost. Frost is going in great. I love Frost with his augments, being able to use his 4 and freeze all enemies around him, giving you Overguard and your teammates Overguard. Not very fast, not Dante fast, not Styanax fast, but pretty fast. Or pretty in the middle, basically. And you can also have an augment that gives you more critical damage and critical chance on these frozen enemies, which is overkill. You don't really need all that damage on them. It's just, if you want it, I like seeing the numbers. You don't need it though. You really don't need the augment. But you can just freeze all enemies around you. They will die. They lose their armor as well. She just does so much. Like his 4 is only really good ability. You don't want to use his other abilities. You can use like Ice Globe, that globe, to protect like defenses. But other things like his other abilities, his 1 and his 2, don't use those. His Ice Wave is so slow, it's embarrassing. Don't use them. But his 4 has so much in it, especially with the augment, that it really performs so well. And I believe it deserves an A. So that's Frost. Shit, my hair. Okay, then we got Gara. Gara is going in S+. She is the nuking frame. She is the nuking frame, not needing line of sight. Destroys just entire small maps. Any maps that's like relatively small to medium, enemies will just not exist. They will die. They're just going to die. They're not going to live. You have 90% or 95% damage reduction with her Shattered Glass, where like, so she summons this glass around her, and any enemies that touch her with this glass, they will also just die. You need a stat stick with her, which is a problem, you know, in terms of investment. But once you invest in her, she will be unstoppable. She will just nuke maps, and yeah, she will go crazy. What else can I say? She's just the main nuker of Warframe. There are others though, and we'll get to that. Next is Garuda. So I'm putting her in A-. I love Garuda. I love her design. I love the whole bloody theme, the killer theme. I want to kill you. I want to, you know, all that blood stuff. I think it's great. And the passive she has is really good. I believe it's multiplicative. So the more enemies you kill, the more damage you do, up to 100% more damage, which is just huge. Her passive alone makes her really good, but her abilities kind of fall off like her 1. So her 1 just, you hit an enemy and you'll get a shield in front of you that moves with your camera. It will protect you from projectiles and stuff and melees, but it only protects you in front of you, so you will die if any enemies are shooting behind you, and it's really not useful in terms of protection. You can hold it and it will shoot out like this blood orb. It uses so much energy that it's not really useful. You don't need to use this. It uses all your energy, and I know Garuda can get a bunch of energy, but it's just use guns. You don't need her blood orb. So then you have a 2, which makes you heal your health when you hit hit this enemy, and then you can just get health from him. Literally just use Gloom. She's the Gloom Warframe. If you use Gloom on her, you'll just see much more better success. It's just more reliable than her 2. Her 3 just gives her energy but you have to sacrifice some health. That's all it does, which synergizes well with Gloom, because you don't want to really use her 2, which you can, but Gloom's better. Then you have her 4, which makes the enemies vulnerable to slash procs, and doesn't need line of sight, so you can kill very low health or low leveled enemies with this. But it's a long casting time, and it's like gets you stuck in place. So you end up having this Warframe that has this amazing passive, but the abilities are kind of just in the middle. Yeah, you mainly just want to use her with guns. You can use her 4 if you want to. You can use her all her other abilities, but they're just not, compared to now, like other abilities in this tier list, it's just not. Just use weapons. Still a great Warframe though. I love Garuda. So then we got Gauss. Gauss, Gauss. I'm going to call him Gauss. He's going in S. He is great. He's a great weapons platform. With his 4, he can increase fire rate. He can make you go faster. His kinetic plating makes him just basically not die. He won't really die because he makes him like just, I think it's status immunity, but he won't die. His 4 is just great for like making your weapons better, making fire rate go faster. You can just go faster. You can speed through maps and just kill things so fast with a decent weapon. And now with Incarnons, he can just use Incarnons and everything will die. He's a great weapons platform. He has Thermal Sunder, which is his 3. Great for low level missions. It will just instantly kill anything that's low level. Don't use it in Steel Path. You won't find success when using it in Steel Path. And his 1's just kind of there if you want to go fast. Its Volt speed still better, but his 1's still good. So yeah, you have this Warframe that's just a great weapons platform. It's as simple as that. He's just a great weapons platform and he won't really die. So he's amazing. He's going in S. And then we have Grendel. Grendel's going in S. I love Grendel. He honestly goes fast. He can go so fast that it's pretty good. He can go faster than Wukong, which is the 2nd fastest frame in the game. When combined with his augment, or just in general, when using Pulverize, which is his 3, you'll just go so fast. It's crazy, and it's really fun. You can consume enemies, you get armor when you consume enemies, you can spit them out. Any enemies that hit with the enemies you spat out will lose armor, With his new augment, Gastro, he can just constantly make those enemies bounce around and do more damage. Things will just die. Not at an extremely fast pace like Gara, like he won't nuke maps, but the damage is so good, you don't really care about that, and he won't die. He has plenty of armor when he consumes enemies. He won't need energy problems because he has Nourish, which is the best subsume ability in the game, and he just has it in his kit. And all of his abilities are just really good. You need all of his abilities. You don't really want to subsume on him, unless you want Pulverize gone, but I love Pulverize. So, yeah, just a great Warframe. Won't die. Does good damage and everything, so yeah. Okay, let's talk about Gyre. So, on my reference sheet, I put her an A-. She needs an armor strip. Gyre needs an armor strip. If she does not have an armor strip, she does really slow damage. She can do damage, and she will kill things on Steel Path, but she needs an armor strip. She needs Pillage, or she won't kill things fast enough. So Pillage on Gyre is what you need. I love her abilities. I think she can have like funny red numbers come up, and it makes me happy. Her 4's good, electricity everywhere status, like crowd control with electricity. They get shocked, they can't move. Her 3, you don't have to ever recast most of her abilities. Her 3 and her 4 with the augment, which just gives her crit chance, energy regeneration, and makes enemies electrified. If you're killing enemies, the duration will just constantly refresh. You don't have to cast those long casting time abilities again if you have the augment. Her 2 you don't really want to use. It has a funny augment, but it doesn't really see success. Her 1 is good. It can do good damage if you have an armor strip. Like I said, you need Pillage. She's just kind of slow. She's a kind of a slow Warframe. I love her, and I think she's very fun. If she got like a buff just with maybe being able to ignore armor with her abilities, that would be amazing. I know that sounds like crazy, but she needs an armor strip. Even with the armor nerf, she still needs it. But she still sees great success when you use her, if you invest in her as well. So I'm putting her in A- for now. Just my opinion, that's what I think. These are all my opinion, by the way. Please don't be offended, I'm sorry. If I did something wrong, tell me in the comments. And then we've got Harrow, who I think is great. Really simple, he's just a really good support. Give energy regeneration, critical chance. He can just do it all, and he won't die. He has Condemned, which gives him shields on demand, basically. Infinite shields. Yeah, and allies allies never complain about having a Harrow on the team. And yeah, he's just a really decent, all-around a good support Warframe. That's all I can say, really. He doesn't do anything like crazy. He's just a very good support, good utility. Yeah, that's just Harrow. That's what I think of him, yeah. Then we got Hildryn. Hildryn's going in S. So, with Hildryn, she got an augment, and then quality of life changes with her 4, which her 4 used to be considered a terrible ability, but now with the quality of life changes, she is amazing. So use her 4 with her 1, which is her exalted, Bale charge, something like that, Bale fire charger. Use augment with that, things will just die. Things will not live the augment. It was crazy. Her 4's so fun to use. She uses shield. She has you can get her up to 6,000 shields with primed redirection, and just normal redirection is fine. Her blazing pillage build, so she used to have, it was very popular at the time, where she would use pillage and things would go on fire. That is outdated now. It's a little slower. So using the new augment really makes her amazing. She won't die. You have pillage, one of the best abilities in the game. Haven's good. Her Balefire Charger, like I said, just does so much damage at a crazy range, and just giant explosions. It's amazing. And her 4 is just, she flies in the air and you look really cool doing it, and you get energy orbs if enemies die near you. So yeah, she's just an amazing Warframe. I was going to put her in S+, but she doesn't have the, nuking potential. She definitely has the survivability and the damage, but not like unbeatable. You will still see great success in her though. Definitely use her. One of my favorite just ways to play Warframe is this new augment and Hildryn. So yeah, I believe I put Hydroid in S. So Hydroid is amazing. His rework made him so much better. I loved his rework. Getting armor, you can strip armor. Crowd control enemies, spam his 1, and his 1 will just destroy enemies. If they're coming through corridors and stuff, just spam his 1. It's a very quick casting time. Just constantly spam it, spam it, spam it, things will die. They will lose their armor, you gain damage with plunder, that's what it's called. So with plunder you get armor and you get damage, depending on how many people you've affected with your abilities. It's just so strong. He's so strong, he won't really die. Yeah, and you have a great movement ability. He's just really good. I love Hydroid. He's amazing. Definitely S. There's not much else to say. He's just a really, really solid, great Warframe. Okay, now we have Inaros. So Inaros I'm putting in A-. I think Inaros is good as a weapons platform, obviously. You can use him with Sandstorm and, like, he's invulnerable during it. He won't die as a Warframe. He's the Warframe that won't die. But there are Warframes that just kind of do things better and not die at the same time. He has an armor strip. Very slow armor strip. It is so slow, it's crazy. So Scarab Swarm, he can like swarm enemies with all these like little insects. They will get armor stripped eventually. Not amazing. It's not an amazing armor strip. And then you have his Sandstorm, which is invincible during. You can use his augment with it and it will do decent damage. Not to heavier units. But you crowd control these enemies into you, and then you can just like use like an Incarnate or Glaive and just destroy everything in the Sandstorm once you come out of it. Though, yeah, you do have to be in the Sandstorm, and it does take time to get all the enemies, so it's not a real fast kill, like kills per minute. And you have 1 that restores his health. He has no shields, so but that's fine. So he won't die, and he's fine with his abilities. They're fine. Yeah, he's good. He's just, he's just kind of doesn't kill things fast enough, and yeah, his abilities are just kind of more of a weapons platform. You will know in bosses like the Fragmented Tide, you will get one shot because you don't have shields. You will die a lot with like enemies that do a bunch of damage. You will die. You don't have shield gates. You don't have time to react. You will die. But with other enemies, you won't. So just regular enemies, Steel Path enemies, you won't really die with him. Especially with Arcane Grace. Yeah, just with bosses you have to watch out with because he can get one shot. So yeah, no shields, that's the problem. Okay, next one. We have Ivara. Ivara is... What's my reference sheet say? Put her in outclass. So she does edge on the verge of B, but I'm putting her in B- because she is very, very slow. She is a very slow Warframe. So you go invisible, but you can't sprint, you can't bullet jump, you can only really roll, which isn't very fast. You have her Exalted, which is her bow. You can use it with its augment. It does decent damage, but nowadays it's just not really that good. It's very slow, like I said. You can use it though, and you won't have to worry about dying in like survival or if you're by yourself in a solo mission because you're invisible and you can shoot the bow while invisible. You can't shoot regular weapons while invisible though, so that will break the invisibility. You can also sleep enemies, but sleeping enemies isn't really useful unless you're doing a stealth mission, which yeah, it is good. But just use Wukong, please. Wukong's are better. He's the best spy, stealthy Warframe, really. So yeah, she's just too slow. She does good things, like she can hunt animals in like the free roam area. You can sleep them and then capture them. She has her uses. She's just too slow, and I think she's outclassed. Just maybe a buff with her prowl, making it so you can use it whenever, but then it's just like Loki. So maybe just a more creative rework would be good there. That's Ivara. So we've got Jade. Jade is an amazing Warframe. We love Jade. I love her. I think she's on my top 3 most favourite designed Warframes. Love the angel look. She has an armor strip in like her kit. She has ally buffs. She can increase weapon damage, shield. She can increase ability strength. She can fly, and with aerodynamic, you can reduce the amount of damage you take while you're flying. You won't die as Jade. You won't die. She can do great damage with her Exalted, which is Glory. You will just kill things with Glory. Things will just die, especially when paired with Raw. But you don't need to subsube anything on her because her kit is just amazing. Her 1 can heal you, like maximum health per second. Tag enemies and just explode them, and it's just all her abilities synchronize really well. Yeah, she's just an amazing Warframe. Great support, great damage. She has everything. albeit the damage isn't the best, like crazy, not up to like S plus amazing, though her support is up there, and yeah, her damage is really good though, and you won't regret it. But not up to S plus in my opinion. That's what I think. Yeah. Next we have Khora. So originally I thought Khora maybe possibly an S. I thought her survivability was really on the weak side. She is kind of frail. She needs rolling guard. But we have Q-Bros. So Q-Bros, the dogs, you have a mod on that makes it so you're invisible permanently when there's an enemy within a certain range. And you can spam her 1, just constantly whip, do millions of damage when you have a stat stick. Enemies won't be able to hurt you because they're in their 4. And, what are they? Xmas also, you just kill with her 1. Since you're invisible while you can do this, you won't die, making her an S+. She can just do infinite amount of damage, lock places down with her 4. Venari is actually one of the best companions in the game. She can do great damage. I've seen builds on her. She can just destroy. Yeah, so nothing wrong with Khora at all now. Survivability I thought was questionable, but with this mod on companions, she would just kill things and would not worry about dying. So she's going an S+. I love Khora. She's cool. Okay, we're getting to the new Warframe, Koumei. Here we go. Any guesses where she's going? Love her design, however she is going in B tier. So, really disappointing when it came to her kit. She's like the Decree Warframe, so you know, Deviri. She can... I thought I saw something. She can get decrees and do challenges and get stronger during the game. And it has if you do too many, you get like a 2.5 minute cooldown. It is crazy cooldown. And even then you can't choose what decree you want. So you can just get a decree that makes you do more finisher damage, or a decree that makes you do more heavy attack damage when you're on a gun build. Really, it's so unfortunate. At least make it so when you get a decree you do more damage, like with the decrees in Deviri. If you earn a decree in Deviri, you'll do 10% more damage, for example. If you earn a decree as Koumei, you just get the benefits of doing more finisher damage, possibly. So it's kind of bad. Her 4 is a crowd control that gives a lot of statuses, but doesn't do damage. So you end up just making enemies pull up on strings, and doesn't do damage. You can pair it with I don't know, terror. You can't even do an armor strip with it. It's not good really at all. You want to use one of the Helmuth abilities that make it so status effects are doubled. It's just not good. She's not good. Her 3's good survivability, but it has a cooldown. So if you get shot too many times, you will die. Her 1 is also just a spam. You get these strings that do 1 element if an enemy walks into them. Oh, it's just a mess. And she needs a change with her decrees, being able to choose the decrees and getting more damage through them, making her 3's fine. It's not amazing survivability, but it's fine. And her 4 just doing more. She rolls dices, so her dices, she has 6 dices. If she rolls a 666, her 4's enhanced, so it hits enemies behind her. Because right now it only hits enemies in front of her, and even then it doesn't ignore line of sight. You need line of sight on it. So you have this Warframe that's just really slow and not very good in damage, decent survivability. Decrees, which I wish were better, but aren't. So we have this Koumei in B. Not happy with her really. Hopefully she gets changes, but it's been a while now, so hopefully next update. Now we've got Kullervo, who I think is an S. Possibly an S+. He is an amazing Warframe. His new augment makes it so he can spam cast his 4. Not spam cast it, just make it go anywhere he wants. Use his 3, which is Collective Curse, which just makes the damage spread across enemies. So if I shot a glaive at an enemy and the other enemies are affected, they will all just die. Really good ability. His 2 makes it so you get Overguard. He hasn't got shields, but he has Overguard, and Overguard's amazing. We know that. Just spammed his 2 for Overguard, he won't die. His 1 also gives him good numbers on his melee. And his passive's good, helps with heavy attack efficiency, which is great with glaives. Or just a heavy attack build on any of your weapons. He's just a really solid Warframe. Great survivability, won't die. Oh, he's just amazing. And his 3, I think, is his best ability. Yeah, being able to just make everyone take the same amount of damage if you damage one enemy. So, yeah. Love him. Love Kullervo. Okay, now Lavos, I have probably the least amount of experience with. I have played him, and I have played him a few times. But it's just kind of, he's fine. I'll put him in A-. He could possibly definitely go up to A. Right now it's A-. I don't like his playstyle. I don't like cooldowns. He has a 4 that can nuke enemies, but has a 30-second cooldown. You can reduce it with one of his abilities, but it's just, you kind of need those stats on him, so you can't really build efficiency, because you need a lot of stats on him. You could try, but it's, yeah, his 4's fine. I might change my mind on him eventually, but I just don't like the cooldown thing. He's really you can make him really tanky with it. His 1 can make you regenerate health instantly on a cooldown. You can give your weapons like status effects, which is amazing with his augment. He can do great things. He's possibly in A, but I don't like his playstyle, so I'm going to put him in A-. I know this is my opinion. Some people would say he's great, but I'm going to put him in A-. I don't like his cooldowns, and I think he can be kind of clunky. But he's definitely a solid Warframe, and you will be able to clear every level with him, basically. Steel Path or not, he'll be fine. Okay, we know what's coming now. We have Limbo. He used to be, we're nearly done, my favourite Warframe in the game. But he is just so bad. He's so bad. I really want to put him in, I'm so close to putting him in C-, but I love him. The a bit of love in my heart for him is giving him C. It makes, in multiplayer, he just like makes your teammates rage because you can't kill some enemies if you're in a dimension. Like, he puts you in dimensions and then you can't kill some enemies outside of it. You can kill some enemies in it. You can get an augment that makes him do more damage depending on how many enemies are in your dimension. Though it's additive, so it's fine. As soon as an Eximus comes by, he will die. He can't affect an Eximus. If he's in the rift and they're out of it, they can still shoot him, but he can't shoot them. So it's so clunky. The only thing he's useful for is being able to maybe stop enemies, and I know that can be really useful. I think it's a really boring playstyle. He can stop enemies in place, not Eximuses, permanently basically, and he can also defend objectives pretty good, but that's all he can really do. Not a good Warframe. He needs a rework. I wish it didn't affect his allies as well, because I get roasted when I used to play Limbo. So yeah, he's going in C, and I love Limbo, but he just has his problems. And yeah, rework hopefully inbound, hopefully. Okay, we got Loki. Loki is outclassed. Loki is so boring. He does nothing else except go invisible. That is it. His passive is useless. His 1 is useless. Don't use his 1 if you're invisible. You're going to get shot. It makes it a decoy. I don't know why you'd want that if you're just invisible permanently. His 2 being invisible permanently, fine. His 3 swaps places with an enemy, pointless. And his 4 disarms enemies' weapons. Pointless, can't nuke, can't do anything, just goes invisible. He's a weapons platform, that's all he does. I don't like Loki. I don't like him. I don't know why people do. I guess he's invisible and you can do cool things with maybe some of his augments, but I don't see use in it at all. He just goes invisible. And it's definitely useful, but there are Warframes that do this job better. Octavia, for example, and Varuna. So, yeah. That's all he does. Not much else to say about Loki. That's what he does. Then we got Mag, who I think is good. I think Mag is a good Warframe. She can armor strip with her 4, with the augment. As long as you have a decent casting speed, everything around you will just not have armor. Her pull, her 1 is amazing. Her pull's amazing. Her 2 can just like make a giant bubble around these enemies, sucks them all in, and if you shoot one projectile into that bubble, that projectile will hit all enemies inside and they will die. Her 3 you don't use in high levels, but is good in low levels, which just kills low level enemies but doesn't really do anything because it just does a set amount of damage. Won't kill enemies in high levels. So you have this Warframe who has a good armor strip, and you can do good damage. Questionable on the survivability part, even though her 4 is good crowd control. Eximuses will kind of just kill you. She does have a drawback. She doesn't do an amazing amount of damage. She relies on her weapons. So yeah, that's why I'm putting her in A-. That's Mag for me. Short and sweet. Love Mag. Her heirloom skin is amazing. Yeah, She's good. We love her. Okay, this is my favourite Warframe. Mesa in S+. Is anyone surprised? A Warframe with 90% damage reduction that never dies. I never die as Mesa. With a 4 that's just aimbot and kills everything on her screen. Everything. Nothing will live this. Nothing. Demolishes or Demolist will not die. Will just die instantly once you ramp up. She will kill everything. Half built or not. You don't even have to build her fully and she will just destroy. So yeah, Mesa, amazing. Not much else to really say about her. Her 2 gives you more damage. Her 1 can be used with a Cedo and just do cool things with that. But her 4, her Exalted, probably one of the best Exalters along with Khora, and yeah, she'll just kill things instantly. And everything on your screen will die. We love Mesa. Mirage is going in S+. So Mirage has Eclipse. Base Eclipse, so it doesn't got downsides, unlike Subsumed Eclipse. You get 90% damage reduction, or you can get a giant multiplicative damage bonus, which helps with her 4, which is this giant ball, disco ball, that just kills everything around it. Albeit not too fast, but once you have an armor strip like, Pillage or something like that, they will die. They will just die. And even without an armor strip, they will die. Steel Path, you'll see, mate, just enemies will die. Crumble, Circuit, she just destroys enemies. It has a huge range. Enemies will just die. Looking at this ball, they will just die. Then you have a 1, which is just more damage, more distraction, so you won't, more survivability, you won't die. And a 2 can be used if you want to use it more. I subsume over it personally, but can be used. So you have this Warframe that just does a bunch of damage, AoE, huge damage, things will die. I was going to put her in S, but just seeing what her 4 can do is amazing. Just try her 4 out, it does so much. Especially with the Eclipse damage bonus. You want to normally, yeah, it will just destroy. Damage reduction, you have damage reduction, yeah, you won't die. You can change depending on the situation. So yeah, S+ for me. Then we have Nekros. Oh, I don't like Nekros at all. He's probably my least favourite Warframe. He's boring. He has a long casting speed 4 that does basically nothing except for distractions. Helps with survivability. I'm putting him in B because he has Desecrate, which is a good farming ability. Gives you double loot drops on dead enemies. Khora does this better in my opinion, but for certain situations he is better. His 4 with his augment can help him so he won't die, and that's basically all he does. He has Terrify, which is a good armor strip, but Terrify also makes sure the enemies run away from you, and it just gets annoying. I don't like using Terrify unless it's on Gara, because they just die and you don't need line of sight. Terrify's fine, and his 1's not useful. You can use it for damage, is not really good. So you have this Warframe that's just kind of used for farming and doesn't die often, and that's it. He's kind of boring. Don't like Nekros. Nezha's next though, and Nezha's going in S+. So originally, before his augment, I would have put him in S or A. He won't die. He's a very fast Warframe. Won't die. He has a damage multiplier on his 2. And his 4 is great crowd control. Sorry if I talk a little too fast. I have to get through this quickly though. His 4 with his augment will nuke enemies without line of sight. They will die. Instantly, you just shoot one enemy on the spears once you use it. Let the spears go. Every enemy that has been speared will die. Just a great nuking Warframe. Very fast. You don't have to subsume any abilities on him because he's just, all his kit is amazing. I love Firewalker making him faster. I love his passive making him faster. 3 won't make him die. Oh, he's just amazing. Just an amazing Warframe. I love him. And his 2, if you need more damage, you can use his 2. So yeah. Then we've got Nidus. So I put him in B. He won't die. He won't die like Nekros won't die if you use him right. But he is very, very slow. His abilities don't do a lot of damage, more distractions, good crowd control. His larvae is a great crowd control. Being able to suck in enemies and just kill them is great. You won't die if you keep using your abilities. Problem is, his abilities don't do much damage. They can do some, but not much. You want to use them so you get mutation stacks. More mutation stacks, meaning you won't die. If you do lose all your health, you just get another life. He doesn't have any shields, but that doesn't matter because his passive helps him. He needs to build up as well, so on short missions, he needs to build. If he doesn't build up quick enough, he just falls off. He doesn't do a lot of damage. And yeah, that's basically Nidus. You want to use him with weapons, good weapons. His larvae is cool though. I love how it sucks everyone in and you can just kill things with it. But I prefer someone like Zephyr, who we will get to at the end of this tier list because we are almost done. We got Nova, is in S+. So you'll notice there are more better Warframes after this, when I'm done with this. There are more better Warframes than bad Warframes, which is good. Nova's going in S+. Let me explain. Her 2 can do so much damage once you shoot into it. So you throw out this orb, you shoot the orb, and then you throw it at enemies. They will just die. They will die. Her 1 gives her good survivability with her augment. Her 4 makes enemies either slower or faster depending on what you want. Why would you want to make them faster? Probably because making missions faster. Making enemies come in faster. Missions will just get cleared much faster. And killing enemies faster is just better. You can also slow enemies down if they're just too strong for you. If they kill you too fast. Just slow them down by like a gloom speed. They will just die. And you do more damage on them. And yeah, that's basically her. She just does so much. You can get so much kills with her 2. It's crazy. She won't die. Her 3 Wormhole is a travel ability. I don't like Wormhole. I normally subsume over it. So yeah, but she can just... She's just amazing. Purely because of her utility. Making enemies faster. Making missions faster. She's so good. I love Nova. And with her 2, she just kills enemies so quickly. Yeah, so that's Nova. Love Nova. She won't die. It's good survivability and everything. Okay, we got Nynx. Nynx is outclassed. I think this is where I put her on my tier list. Yep, that's my reference. In B-. She's outclassed. She has her 4 with her augment, which makes her basically invincible. Albeit, the more enemies shoot at you, the more energy you lose. So if there's a lot of enemies shooting you, or if there's a Kuva Lich, you will lose enemy energy so quick, you will basically not be able to use your 4 and you will die. When you're in your 4, when you're in total invincibility, you can move at a very slow pace and roll. You can't bullet jump. And that's basically it. You just shoot your weapons, but you can't move fast. And there's, like I said, she's just outclassed by Revenant, who we will get to. So yeah, in terms of that. She has an armor strip. The armor strip isn't that good. If you use on, like, let's say there's these 3 enemies here. I use the armor strip on them. Now I want to use the armor strip on these 3 enemies. These 3 enemies will get their armor back, and these ones will lose their armor. So you can't spam the ability. It's not a good armor strip. It's trash. Don't use it. Unless you have a single target situation where it is decent in. Then you have Mind Control and Chaos, which is just a crowd control ability. It's just better to kill enemies nowadays. It's just how it is. It helps with survivability, but you have a 4, so you can't die. And it doesn't work on boss enemies. And it doesn't do a lot of damage. So she's just outclassed. Not a good Warframe. She's getting a rework, which I'm very excited for, because she's not what I expected to be a sidekick Warframe, because she doesn't act like it. And it doesn't seem very effective. So hopefully the rework does change her and make her much better. Next we've got Oberon. I'm putting Oberon in outclassed. I want to put him in C. But he does have some... I'm putting him in C. I'm putting him in C, I don't care. I don't care. He's going in C. He has grass. He can throw out grass. You need to be on this grass to get status immunity. You also need to be on this grass to armor strip enemies with your 4. If you're not on this grass, your 4 will do basically nothing. He has renewal, which is his survivability like tool, that heals you very slowly. You will die. The enemies will not even notice it. It's like the same. It's really bad, and it's a toggle, so it's not a duration ability. It's like Gloom, but it's a really bad version of Gloom. And his 1 does no damage. You don't want to use his 1 ever. And his passive is useless. It just makes your companions slightly more health and gives them an extra life, which it can be useful, but it's just with the companion rework. I guess it's good, but that's it. So you have this Warframe who is status immune on his grass, which is good survivability, but if enemies shoot you, you will die. You have a 4 that is good crowd control and a good armor strip, but once they're out of that, you will die. I'll move him up. I'll give him something. He's going in B-. He will just die real easily, and his 4 is a good armor strip. You need to be on the grass. I don't know if enemies need to be on the grass. but it's got you have to have the grass out, and it's like, oh, it's kind of annoying. Very clunky. He's just outclassed. So yeah, not very good. Hopefully he gets a rework because he is so old. Then we've got Octavia. Now on a happier note, Octavia is an S+. Octavia does everything. Octavia can kill a bunch of enemies with her 1 and her 4, give a bunch of buffs with her 3, and her 2 can move her 4 around to do more damage. You can be permanently invisible with Octavia. You won't have to worry about dying unless you're in the crossfire. So enemies will shoot your 1, and it will just multiply damage as they shoot it, and then they just die. Enemies will die. And when you have long duration, that thing will just stick there, and enemies will constantly come in and die. They will just constantly flow in, die, die, die. You also give all your teammates these buffs. They can also go invisible, they can just get more speed, all sorts of things. Octavia is amazing, she does everything great. We love Octavia. Definitely an S+. And we got Protea, so I'm putting Protea in S+. On a good note here, I'm happy to see these Warframes go in S+. I was going to put her in S, but she just does so much that it's... No, she goes in S+. With Archon Vitality, her 2 can do crazy amounts of damage. You can clear out enemies. As a giant, you can have a big range on it. It's like a mini Mesa, in my opinion. Autobot, like aimbot, not Autobot. Aimbot, amazing. Her 3 gives you free energy, free health, free ammo. Just a great ability, great support. Honestly, nothing wrong with that. And her 1 is amazing survivability. You will just constantly regenerate shields. Shield gating all the time, and you can also just throw out her 1, which just, so you have 2 versions, you have a hold and a tap. So if you tap it, you just throw out all these little, like, sharp versions of it that will just do more damage to enemies. Not a lot, but it does, like, do decent crowd control / damage. And it helps to proc her passive, which, by the way, her passive is amazing. On her every 4th ability cast, that ability you cast it on will gain 100% strength. So if you use it with like Raw and you use her 2 with it, things will just die. Nothing will live her 2. Nothing. And even her 1 will do more damage. Her 4 you can use as well. I love her 4. I wish it was more like Dagath, where if you died, you would then proc it. But it's a duration. So if you use it, it's like Tracer's Recall. You use it from Overwatch. You use it, you go in, eventually, though, it will just... You have to cancel it, or otherwise it will just send you back, even if you don't get hurt at all. Pretty clunky. It's not like Dagath's. Dagath's is better, in my opinion. But, yeah, you can definitely use it, and it will... You can see some success with it. You won't die if you use it. But it's pretty clunky, so... That's the only problem I have with her. Otherwise, you have a great Warframe with just great abilities. We love Protea. She's amazing. Then we got Corvex. I'm not happy with Corvex. Not at all. So Corvex just has this giant laser with his 4. He's invulnerable during it. Shoot it down a hallway and it will kill enemies. It definitely will. But once the enemies start separating, which you normally use his 2, which like clamps them together. Very clunky. But if you're in single target situations, his 4 will do nothing. You need enemies together, and even then, when enemies are together, it won't do the most amount of damage. You need like an armor strip. So you need to cast a bunch of abilities. You have his 3, which is like a status immunity. I believe it's damage reduction. I believe. It's just survivability. But his 4, he's pretty alright with survivability. His 4 can help him live. So, with not much damage, so yeah. And he has his 1, which doesn't really do much. It just procs radiation. That's all it does. So you have a Warframe that has a laser. It's like Caliban. It's really miserable. The lasers in this game just don't do a lot, and it's sad because they look so cool. Caliban's laser looks amazing, and I think Corvex's lasers also look amazing. They just don't do enough. So I would put him in B because he doesn't do a lot of damage. He has decent survivability, but that's literally all he does. Not very good. Hopefully he gets changes where his 4 can just do more damage against single target enemies. Though his 3 is good support for your allies and for yourself, so that's what he's got. That's Corvex. Okay, let's get this out of the way. We have Revenant. He's not A-. In S+, he is the Warframe that does not die. He won't die as long as you have your 2 active. At all. And it's like, it's so easy. You will have basically infinite vulnerability as long as you keep it up. And yeah, he's just a comfy weapons platform that just, you don't have to worry about dying at all. the best survivable Warframe. If you want to go into something and not die, use Revenant. You will not die. Nezha can, like other Warframes like Nezha can still die, Rhino can still die, people can still get through Overguard, like enemies can still get through that, but you will still die. With Revenant, you will not die, so you don't have to worry about that. He can insta-kill Acolytes with his 3, when you combine it with his 1, and his 4 is just a fun ability to use if you want to use it. Can actually do alright damage. You can build around it. It's fun. Use his 4 if you want to. It's good. Just the weapons platform Warframe that doesn't die. Speaking of someone who got power crept, it's Rhino. Well, I wasn't really speaking about it, but he got power crept by Revenant and Nezha, and literally everyone that has a good survivability, like Dante. And Styanax. Rhino just gives a bunch of Overguard to himself, and he has Raw, which is a great damage multiplier. He's a great Warframe. You want to use him and just get a bunch of Overguard. You can get up to 100,000. I've seen people with like 500,000 million Overguard. You won't die with that, but it does require a lot of setup. Why not? Why use Rhino when you can just use Revenant with Nourish or Raw and not have to all that setup? You can just press 2 and you're invincible. Rhino does suffer from this though, which is a problem. So Rhino goes in A. He's a great Warframe. You can use him as a weapons platform and you will see great success, though he's just been power crept and he's not as good as he used to be. So yeah, he's fun though. You can get up to like 1 million Overguard with him. That's cool. Funny numbers. We love that. And Raw's always good to have. Okay, we know where this is going. This is pretty easy. We have Citrine. Citrine. You know, she's like the Plague Warframe, just killing every Warframe. Killing every enemy on the map so easily. Everything will die. You can proc your weapons with Toxin. With Emerald Shards. She can completely armor strip all enemies on the map. Yeah, and you can pair it with Gloom or Molt. Molt's even fine. Eclipse, Nourish. You can give her anything, and she won't die. She can die, but she won't really. You're just killing every enemy so fast that it doesn't matter. You're killing enemies so fast that they don't have enough time to spawn in. That's how good she is in terms of damage. She is the Warframe to just kill everything on the map. At a slow pace, like she has a slow startup, it has to build up, but then once it builds up, everything dies. Great Warframe, amazing, no problems with her. And then we have Sevagoth. Can you believe I'm putting him in S+? I want to put him in S, because I know, but with his augments, he's just... I see no problems with him. He can nuke just the whole map. He has Gloom in his kit. He won't die. He can have energy problems, but you can just give him Arcane Energize or Xenoric and he will just not have any energy problems. He won't die. Just nuke the whole map with him. Just an amazing Warframe. You don't use his Shadow, unfortunately, which is a cool part of his kit, but you just don't use it because you just use his augments and nuke the whole map. His fall's just too slow. Yeah, so that's all I can say. He's just a good nuke Warframe. Great nuke Warframe. It pairs with Gara in terms of nuking, so... yeah, amazing Warframe, we love him. Next, we've got Styanax. Now, hot take, I'm putting Styanax in S and not S+. Why? Because he doesn't do tons of damage with his 4. His 4 can definitely kill enemies and grant your whole team Overguard. Great support. Grant your whole team energy with his 3. Grant a damage and armor reduction with his 2. And group up enemies with his 1. So he has all his abilities are really good. But he just doesn't do enough damage with his 4. He can definitely do a lot of damage, but compared to the other Warframes in S+, he just doesn't compare as much. That's why I also thought the same with Dante. Dante can nuke, but it does not as amazing nuke, and it does require setup with his 3. But this is about Styanax, and yeah. So Styanax just gives you a bunch of Overguard. You won't die as him, as long as you're using his 4. And you have a bunch of energy with his 3. And an armor strip and everything. So he does everything. He's just a very, very solid Warframe, and you won't have any problems with him at all. So yeah, that's Styanax. Titania. Now I'm putting Titania in S+, for the reason that she is just such a fast Warframe. She is the fastest Warframe in the game. And I don't think anyone can beat her. Grendel, Wukong have nothing on Titania. She is just so fast. She's like a mini Arcwing Warframe. She can just speed through missions so quickly. and just kill everything along the way. She's like the best in void fissures, where she can just use thermal sunder, subsume it on her, and she can just kill everything around her. She's just up here because she's just the fastest Warframe, and she's just so quick at what she does. She is so fast. Damage is alright. You can use her guns. Her Exalteds can do some damage, but you normally use her with Void Fissures. She's just such a useful Warframe with certain situations, like just speedrunning things. The fastest Warframe in the game. Love Titania. Okay, now we have Trinity. So Trinity is... what is my reference sheet here? Outclassed, and I agree. Outclassed. I agree with my own list. Can you believe that? She is outclassed. She has a damage reduction on her forward, which is only 75%, so it's not a lot. She can give your teammates energy. If you use, you have to use an enemy to give you energy, but you have to be around the enemy to give you energy. It's fine. You can also have Link, which is her third ability, which makes any damage taken onto you be given to other enemies. It has an enemy cap. I don't know why. You can only do really not many enemies with this, and it doesn't even do a lot of damage to enemies anyway. Gives you good survivability, but that's about it. And she has I think a health one as well, where you can just regenerate health. She's supposed to be a support Warframe, but Citrine, Wisp, and just other Warframes do her job better. And it's sad to see this. I know she's getting a rework, but from what I'm seeing, her rework isn't that amazing. I really hope they do more with it. Yeah, Wisp and Citrine will always just be the top at the moment, like on the top. But until Trinity gets like a big rework, she's just staying in B- for me. She's just outclassed, and she's very old as well. So yeah, that's Trinity. Then we have Valkyria. I love Valkyria. I honestly think she could go in great, but she has too many downsides, mainly being her stance and her two abilities that do nothing. I stutter a lot. I'm so sorry. So her 4 ability is her Exalted Claws. She can kill things very fast with it, but it is so clunky. She has one good move with it in her stance, which is just a slide attack and then melee. Slide attack, melee, slide attack, melee, and your hands just get cramped. Warframes do this better without being a clunky mess. And yeah, that's my problem with her. Her 4 though makes her totally invincible. You won't die with her. You do need max efficiency because you lose energy so quickly. Her 4 is good though. It is an amazing ability. It's just really clunky, and that's her problem. You can use a slam attack build with it, which does fix the clunkiness, but it's more practical to use her slide attacks because Wukong does it better. Her 1's useless. It's just a mobility tool that's not even that good. And her 3 gets rid of your shield for some reason and stuns enemies. Pointless. Her 2 gives her an attack speed boost, gives her armor and all this. It's really good with her 4. That's basically it. She's a decent Warframe, and you can definitely use her, and she won't die and do great things with her. But yeah, I spelled something weird then. Sorry. So yeah, she goes in A-. Okay, we got Vauban. Vauban is outclassed. He can be in B, but he's in B- for me. He only has his 4. His 4 is the only ability he has. It armor strips pretty slowly, but you need strength on it, so it can do it pretty quickly once you have strength on it. But you also need a lot of range because you need to really get that map locked down in. And yeah, you can crowd control enemies. They will just get sucked in, and they will lose all their armor, and they will die. That's all it does. It's like a Nidus larvae. Yeah. Where it will just suck in enemies, and they'll lose their armor. And it also keeps them in the air. It's really cool. And it suits well with his passive, where he does a 25% multiplicative damage bonus to enemies that are incapacitated, meaning they're just ragdolled. So that's cool. His other abilities aren't really useful. His 3 does no damage. No matter, even if you combine it with his 4, when they have no armor, his 3 does no damage, even when you stack strength on it. So don't use his 3. His other abilities also just don't use, like you have all these other abilities that you're not going to use on him because they don't do anything meaningful. You can get a kind of a speed boost with some of them, like one of them it's just average. I don't really like Vauban at all. His 4's cool and all, but literally other Warframes do his job so much better that you don't need to use him. And his survivability is also lacking a lot. As soon as an Equinox comes by, you will die. It's simple as that. You cannot suck them in with your 4, you can armor strip them, but that's about it. He has no survivability. You need to like subsume Eclipse or something, like damn on him, because he will just cease to exist once Xmas look at him, because his 4 does nothing to them. Next we've got, nearly done here, we got Volt, who I think is good. Volt is just an all-rounder. He's good. He can increase his speed. He can just kill a bunch of enemies with his 4. Not Steel Path so much, but definitely kill like Void, Fissure, regular path enemies. His shield's good. It gives him like a multiplier, I believe. He's good with Eidolons, and his 1's more just a crowd control. He's a solid Warframe, and he does things good. His 3's really good. I love he's mainly up here because of his speed, and his 4 and his shield and all that. So in A- for me. I think Mag's a better option in terms of starters, but Volt definitely, he was my starter, and I don't regret like picking him at all. I think they're all good in their own way. So he's going in A- for me. Just a good, decent all-rounder. Now we have Varuna. So Varuna has had the biggest glow up because of the augment. Before the augment, I would have probably put her around A-. With the augment, I'm going to do something crazy here. I'm putting her in S+. I said it. It got nerfed, but the nerf did nothing. It really didn't matter because she still does great damage and has a bunch of range on it. Basically, I'll explain it. With the augment, you go invisible with her 1, and there will be an enemy in the crowd that's marked. You spam that enemy with your 2, which will give him a bunch of status effects, stack 10 status effects each time. Once that enemy dies, all enemies around that enemy will just have all these status effects. It ignores line of sight, they will all die. Pair this with a damage like Raw or Eclipse or anything, and they will just die. You won't also die because you have a 3 that gives you health orbs and energy orbs just by killing things, and her 1 makes her invisible. So she really doesn't lack anything. And I think she's an amazing Warframe. Her wolves, you can give herself parkour velocity to make her faster, or status effect immunity. So she is an amazing Warframe. Love her. Next is Wisp. Wisp is going in S+. Who would have thought? Wisp is just the best support, on par with Citrine in my opinion. I still think Citrine is more an offensive support, and Wisp is a defensive support. Being able to give your teammates a bunch of health, give them crowd control, a bunch of damage, a bunch of speed, just everything. Having a good crowd control with her 3. You can use her 4 if you want to, though you normally subsume over it. Doesn't do a lot of damage. And her 2, giving her invulnerability when you teleport. Her 2 is actually so useful for survivability because you can just spam it and you'll have infinite invincibility. So with all that, you can also grant yourself energy with Archon Flow, I believe, which will just give you energy because of your shock mode. So you have a Warframe that just won't die, does great support for your allies, and just does amazing stuff. Love her so much. Wisp was one of my favourite Warframes. She has dropped down with the release of Jade and all that, but she's still amazing. And her passive makes her invisible while she's in the air, which doesn't break if you throw a glaive. So if you throw a glaive while you're using her passive, you can just kill things and not die. We love that. Okay, so Wisp we know is amazing. Now I have Wukong. Now Wukong I want to put in A. When you think about Wukong, with his slam attack build I was going to put him in S, but then that got nerfed. So it feels really clunky now, but you can still use it and it will still do great. Here you have a 2, which is a great mobility. You're invincible during it. You can't die when you're in it, and you regenerate health. You have a 3 that you're invincible with. That's all it does. And his clone, which is kind of a distraction. It does some damage, but it's just kind of a distraction. And his 4, which is useless. His Exalted isn't that useful at all. You can use it, and it will still do damage, but it's not that good. So you have a Warframe that's just purely survivability. That's all he does. With his slam attack build, you can go into his 2 and then go in and then heavy attack, 2 heavy attack, 2 heavy attack. But I think other Warframes can do this better. So it's just kind of clunky now, especially with the nerf, where you just have to stay in the animation for like, it felt like 3 seconds. It's very clunky. Yeah, and his passive is good. He won't die. He's just another Warframe that won't die. Revenant does it better, but he's still a great Warframe if you don't want to die. And he had a giant pick rate for a reason. He's just reliable. He goes fast. And yeah, he's the second fastest Warframe, I would say. Titania being first. Grendel can actually compete with these, by the way, and Volt can too. But yeah, I'm putting him in grade because he doesn't have a lot of damage. He just is purely survivability. So yeah. And then we got Zaku. Zaku is going in S+. I don't like Zaku's gameplay. I don't like their playstyle. I don't like having to grab the guns and just sit there and set up with their 3, which armor strips. Which is cool. Like, it's cool being able to armor strip all the enemies. But it's just kind of boring. Though you'll just be able to clear everything with Zaku. They will just destroy everything. Completely everything. Grab the guns, and any enemy you go near will just die because you're shooting them all the time. And yeah, you won't die. Your 4 makes it so you're like very evasive. You can have like you can add clips to it. Yeah, so you won't die as Zaku, and you'll just be pumping out so much damage. I was gonna put them in S, but no, I'll put them in S+ because they just do so much, and have a giant armor strip across the whole map, and it's. Yeah, Zaku's amazing. On to our last 2, we have Urali. What did I put her on my reference sheet? I put her in usable. So Urali's good. You can use Urali. You can use her. She has her 4, which crowd controls enemies. Her Merilinas are good with the augment, can be great survivability. But that's it. That's all she does. She can use her bubbles, which is her 1 to crowd control. That's all she does. Doesn't do good damage. You can use her 4 to crowd control. Again, like Nidus' larvae. That's all it really does. It just crowd controls. Against Exorcists, it's not as effective, obviously, because it doesn't affect them. And her 2 gives her great survivability, and that's basically it. Well, she has a good passive, but I think Zephyr's passive is better, who we're about to get up to next. But that's about it. Her 3, her Aqua Blades, can be used with the augment to do decent damage, and you can see success with it. But yeah, she just doesn't do a lot. You could definitely argue to put her in A-, but I just feel like she belongs in B for me. Doesn't do a lot. And now we got Zephyr onto a. We're ending on a high note. So Zephyr is in S. Zephyr won't die with her 3. I believe, yeah, with her 3 she won't die. Her 2 sucks in every enemy on the map. And they will just also die, and it's instant cast, things will just die. Her 4 just crowd controls enemies really well, and with these 3 tornadoes that spread the statuses of any enemy caught inside the tornadoes. Enemies will just die. You won't die because you can't die with her 3 because bullets just get redirected. Lasers, anything gets redirected. Just watch out for melees, but you're a bird, so just fly in the air. Yeah, just be in the air, simple as that. Her 1 is good mobility. You can use it to go fast if you need to get somewhere in open world. So yeah, her 1 is good. That is basically the tier list. Zephyr's good. We know that. She's amazing. This is the tier list. No one is in C-, you will notice, because I love these Warframes here. I don't really want to put them there. I don't want to put Limbo there. I'll tell you that right now. Even though I feel like he could go there. But, you know, all Warframes have potential to do a lot. They can all do what they need to do. They can all get through all level of content in this game if you build them right. So this is my opinion. This is my tier list. Thanks for sticking around and listening to me. I appreciate that. Anything I did wrong, this is my opinion, by the way. So, but anything I said wrong, or if you believe I did something just wrong, or if you disagree with me in any way, just comment. I'll love that. And yeah, thanks for watching.